What's up, YouTube? Today, let's talk about mods and upgrades. Things we've done to make the RV better. For livability, for our family, for boondocking, all the fun stuff that everybody likes to do in an RV. Today's video is probably going to be a little less polished than the last one. I'm going to try to do this without so many cuts and edits and things like that. So we're going to get into it. I got 4 great upgrades that we've done to our rig to make things better when we travel. 4 of them, or sorry, I got 5. 5 upgrades. 4 of them were DIY, things that I've done myself. And then there's one that I think a lot of you would like to see that I had a company do for me uh, just to help the RV. So let's get into it. All right, so modification number 1. We have 2 small kids. One's 5, the other's 10 months old. We have a 2020 Jayco Redhawk 29XK, which has one slide right here in the living area with a dinette and a couch. And of course, we wanted the kids to be able to sleep up top, but when they were younger, when our 5-year-old was younger, we wanted him to be able to sleep up top and not have any risk of falling out. So we have a net. That's not going to help a toddler or anything from falling out. So what I did was I installed some banisters that I made. And what I'm doing is relying mostly on the friction of the cushion here pushing up to hold it in place. I added some toggle bolts, some short toggle bolts that kind of go into the plywood ceiling. They open up and they're pulling down. So that's holding it left to right. And then I also screwed into the banister that I put. Once I did all of that, I was able to install a baby gate that helps us get the kids up here, in and out, easy, and prevents them from falling out at night. We usually put a couple of bumpers. You can see them right there. That helps kind of retain them to this little spot. Once our 5-year-old got to about 3 or 4 years old, and he knew not to press up against the gate or anything and call for us when he was ready to come down, that's when we started using the net. Now that we have a 10-month-old, he sleeps up here, and the 5-year-old either sleeps on the couch or the dinette, whichever one he decides whenever we go on a trip. The second upgrade I like to talk about, and this is going to encompass a whole system of things, and if y'all want a video focused fully around the electrical install and upgrade, I can certainly do one of those. But we installed the EcoFlow power kit, and so this is, battery, inverter, DC to DC charge controller, solar charge controller, everything built into one. Your converter to supply your DC power to the camper, everything. This is the control panel. I ran it up front where everything else is already at. And this allows us to get off grid, do more boondocking. I went with the EcoFlow 5 kilowatt hour system. That's been more than enough for us. I have 800 watts of solar on the roof. And the main driver for installing this system, like I said, was boondocking. But also, when we're traveling during the summer, we want to run the air conditioner because this area tends to get pretty warm. I have an onboard generator, but I don't want to run it the whole time we're running down the road, especially this summer. We were driving through the Mojave Desert. Outside temperatures were 120 degrees. I can only imagine what the temperatures coming off the road were. That's just unnecessary wear and tear on the generator. I know they're designed to handle the heat and everything like that, but I wanted to protect my equipment, ensure longevity, things like that. So with the 5,000 watt hour battery and the DC to DC charging that I'm getting from the alternator to the system, 800 watts of solar, I also installed the Gree EcoCool 15,000 BTU air conditioner with the soft start. This air conditioner pulls 300 to 400 watts less wattage, or yeah, pulls 300 to 400 less watts than what the stock air conditioner did. So what that allows us to do is, while we're driving on a fairly sunny day, I'll get about 600 watts of solar coming in through the panels. I also get, I got my DC to DC charger limited at 50 amps. So that's another, 500, 600-ish watts coming in. That puts me at about a net zero when this air conditioner is running. And it doesn't have to run the whole time. We kind of set it at about 75. The cabin gets to temperature, the compressor kicks off and on as it needs to. So I'm usually at about a net zero, not gaining, not losing any battery whenever the compressor is running. So that allows us to keep this area cool. Also, whenever I hit a gas station, I don't have to shut the generator off while I'm fueling up. I could just leave the air conditioner on in here, and everything stays comfortable when we stop for fuel. Speaking of air conditioners, we live in South Louisiana. So if you live in the South or anywhere where it gets really hot, you know that in a 32-foot RV, a second air conditioner is a necessity. So what I did was I installed a second air conditioner, a 13.5 BTU air conditioner, and this is a 30 amp coach, so I wasn't able to tie it into the electrical system. So what I did was I ran some outside the wall conduit or wire loom, wire mold, whatever you want to call it, and installed an air conditioner. And this used to just be an air vent right here. I did check, and it was the hole is capable of supporting an air conditioner and the weight of it and everything. So it was good to go. And then what I did was I installed a plug right there in my my power bay. And whenever we get to a campground, if they have a 20 amp plug at the pedestal, I'm able to run a heavy duty extension cord and plug that in. That gives us dual AC. We've been in Death Valley where temperatures were 115 degrees outside, and we're able to get this down cool to, 75. And then at night, it gets more than comfortable for us to sleep. The next upgrade is a 12-volt refrigerator. This one's kind of moot and point now because these have pretty much become OEM from almost all manufacturers now. I don't know if many are even still putting in the old absorption style fridges, but if you ever had one, you know the issues. They got to be almost perfectly level. They don't regulate temperature the best. There's a pretty high swing in temperature on the internal temp. Things might get all the way up above 40 degrees, and next thing you know, your eggs are frozen. So lots of swinging temperatures. The 12-volt fridge maintains a steady temperature. You can see I'm sitting at 5 degrees in the freezer, 36 in the fridge. So everything's holding pretty good right now. This has just given us consistent temperatures, better freezer temperatures. Your ice cream stays hard. I know a lot of people like to always throw that in there when they talk about this. Very efficient, barely pulls any amps or any watts whenever it's running. Has a nighttime mode, so if you don't have a big battery bank like we do, you can activate nighttime mode, and that makes it a little bit more efficient while it's running. So if you don't have a 12-volt fridge, I can't recommend it enough, especially if your old absorption fridge is on the fritz. Great upgrade. They fit right into the existing slot. We had an 8 cubic foot fridge with the absorption one. This is a 10 cubic foot, fits in the same hole. You just end up with more capacity because you don't have all of the guts and everything for the absorption system to work. All right. The last upgrade is one that I couldn't do on my own. I had to pay somebody to do it. Couldn't recommend this company more than enough. It's called ProTech. They're located in Houma, Louisiana. And what they do is they remove your old membrane roof or fiberglass roof, whatever you had. And if they need to, they'll replace your plywood And then they come in and they spray everything with a bed liner style material. So now my entire roof is seamless all the way around the corners. The seam where the cap touches in and everything is all seamless. They also covered my skylight, which I really love because, the early morning sunrises would always wake us up. So now the skylight's completely blacked out and we don't have to worry about that anymore. And then they also, let me hop up here. They also completely integrated the Unistrut rail for all of my solar. So my solar is now way more secure than what it was before I had this done. And we're good to go. The only thing I wish I would have done, and hindsight is always 2020, I wish I'd have gotten to install, a rail over there by my antenna and maybe over here as well. So if I wanted to increase my solar capacity in the future, the rails would already be there. But with ProTech, if you ever want to add on or anything, you just bring it to them and they will integrate the rail and everything like they've done here. They'll do it for you. Has a lifetime transferable warranty. If anybody's in the Louisiana area and your roof needs to be redone, I would highly recommend going to see the guys over at ProTech. They do a phenomenal job. So there you have it. There's 5, I wouldn't say simple and easy upgrades that we've done to the camper. The fridge was probably the easiest out of all of it. But it's made this camper so much more enjoyable to use, keeps our kids safe, allows us to do some better boondocking. With the EcoFlow system, we went to Sequoia National Park earlier this year, spent 5 days out there. Of course, we didn't have to run the air conditioner or anything while we were camping, but every day the solar was able to replenish the battery back up to 100%. So we never had to run the generator the whole time we were there. If y'all want to see any in-depth videos on any of these things that I've done to the camper, just let me know and I'll be happy to shoot another video going into more depth on how I did everything in the camper. Thanks, and y'all have a great day.